Look at this, bro. Look at... Yo! Look at this, bro! Bro! Yo! Oh my goodness! Like, if not this sequence right here, like the impact frames, like when he's dragging the man back and he's just like, I gotta stab deeper, than just the impact frames that, yo, look at this, bro, just look. It looks so good, dude. It looks so freaking good. Oh my goodness, they cooked. They cooked a gourmet meal for this episode of Solo Leveling. Like, yo, I gotta show this sequence again. It's so good. Like, look at the brute strength, the savagery of these impacts as this man grabs Jinwo and he's just slamming him around in the air. This man's just ricocheting, like he's not even being able to hit the ground properly. Every time he's about to hit the ground, this man is pummeling him back up in the air. It is honestly one of the most savage beatdowns, honestly, and this man just gets absolutely bodied almost throughout this entire sequence. It is just ridiculous. Like, look at these movements here, like the actual movements of this character and just the frame by frame, like as he rotates around, slams him on the ground, and then he's just slinging him around and stuff. Like, this is some straight Broly action, like something straight out of Dragon Ball Super and all that. Just seeing this man grabbing, like, yo, like this sequence right here, like, this is what I mean. It straight up looks like a Broly moment, like when Broly grabs Goku's head and is just dragging him through the wall and all that. That's literally what this looks like right here, and it is just, it is so good. Like, this entire episode, honestly, is so good. But obviously, when the fight begins, it just, it puts the pedal to the metal, and the episode really just kicks off with some gorgeous, gorgeous combat and animation. It is really beautiful. And I want to take a few moments to talk about this, because obviously, this is a sequence of events that's going on here in Solo Leveling that many fans have been looking forward to. Like, for instance, as someone that has read the original source, the light novel, and the webcomic, and I know people that read the webcomic, you know, have all been looking forward to this sequence of events, because this is where things in Solo Leveling get real, and it is just such an epic fight, because it's like, this boss that RMC is facing, Jinwo, he is fighting someone that it has some honor to him. For instance, when Jinwo threw his equipment on to the side and all that, like, he realized that his daggers, his weapons, could be of no use to him while he's fighting such an entity. You know, this creature decided to throw away his equipment as well. Like, here, let me see if I can find the sequence. It's just, yeah, it's right here. It is literally this sequence. Like, he grabs his blades and he slings them down. It's just such a smooth sequence of events, honestly. Like, here, let me get a better side-by-side frame here as he grabs. It's just so good. Like, he grabs his blade, he literally just shoves it down, he turns his back around, grabs his blades, throws them to the ground. It's so smooth. It's such a clean sequence, and I love that. It really just showcases what type of boss that Jinwo was fighting in this episode. And, like, soon as he decided to go, like, you know, fist-only fisticuffs, the boss responded in kind. Like, okay, I'll show you fisticuffs, and I will beat the literal crap out of you. It is honestly just awesome. I love what this boss is, how it is presented, and I think anyone kind of watching this sequence of events, like watching this episode, probably was reminded of Artorias. Like, anyone that has played a Dark Souls game and has heard the legendary myth of Artorias, the Abyss Walker, you know, definitely could probably see that maybe the design decision of this armor of this man was definitely inspired by Artorias. I mean, it would make a lot of sense. I mean, Dark Souls is not something that is relatively small or niche. Maybe the community that plays the game is niche, but the overall popularity and conversation around Dark Souls is definitely huge. And with Elden Ring, it obviously has made it a lot more popular. And I think that Artorias being just such an iconic knight, at least in gaming, and Solo Leveling obviously takes a lot of inspiration from gaming, it would not be too far-fetched to assume that the design decision was definitely a reference to it. Regardless, though, I absolutely just love the brute nature of this fight. It is super, super clean, and I just just love the desperation here. Like, as I was showing earlier with these impact frames of Jinwoo when he is attacking, like, yo, like, this is just so good. Because it's like a nice mixture of changing the tone of the fight into this scratchy line work and all that. I don't know the proper term to really give this, but it looks so good and beautiful. And the choice here of just the impact, like this extended impact frame, is so good when he stabs the knight. I just love it, man. It is truly just such a good sequence of events that this episode did. Now, with all that being said, I do need to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to this episode. And that elephant in the room that does need to be mentioned is the fact that even though this episode is outright gorgeous and amazing in all regards, this is not the best that Solo Leveling has to offer. If you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, if you know, and you looked at the title of the next week's episode of Solo Leveling, you know next week is probably going to deliver even higher quality than probably what this episode delivered. If, everything aligns right and, A1 continues to cook this 10-star meal that they've obviously been doing for the past few weeks. Now, let's get into that. There has been a lot of doubters. A lot of people have outright doubted Solo Leveling ever since the anime started. And to be fair, I want to be completely blunt here, I was slightly a part of that group. I mean, the reason for that is because A1 has obviously had really good anime as of late. I don't think anyone is really denying that. They have really done a good job with the anime they've had. But I was concerned about, just delays in production and stuff, because, there was been a track record. I was a little bit concerned. But now seeing the anime, and now that we're pretty much done with, Solo Leveling, at least this anime season, I think it is safe to say that this is probably the best webcomic to anime adaptation that there has ever been. There's only been a few, obviously, at this point, and one that's held that spot since the beginning has, in my personal opinion, been Tower of God. Tower of God Season 1 was, honestly, one of the best webtoon adaptations. I don't think it was the best. It could have been a lot better. But I think that, if what we have been presented from a webcomic/webtoon to a anime format, it was the best that we have seen. Till, I say recently, until this episode and other episodes, previously of Solo Leveling came out, that really has showcased that, that there is a lot of care and attention to detail webcomics can really offer just a really nice spectacle. And I think that is a perfect way to really describe what has been on display with Solo Leveling. Now, do I think that Solo Leveling will hold this title of being the best webcomic to, anime adaptation of all time? No. I think one day it will be surpassed, and personally, I hope it gets surpassed by Tower of God again for Season 2 that's coming out later this year. But with that being said, though, I do want to talk about that this episode is obviously incredible. And there's a lot to really take away from this struggle, and uses everything that Jinwoo has learned up to this point while fighting and leveling up to be able to, get stronger. He had to use every tactic at his disposal to be able to win. And I also love the symbolism here as well. I think it was very on the nose. People saw it, here where he got launched into the throne chair and the knight was guarding, the chair, at the bottom of the throne. It's very clear what the symbolism of the scene is kind of showing, that it's implying that will Jinwoo be the one to be the next king or ruler or whatever because of this giant throne, and will, that knight was obviously protecting something. It just, there's clear symbolism that, this sequence showcases, and I like that. There's little details like that that is hidden within this fight, and there is a lot of emotion that is shown within this boss, even without words, and I think that is really nice to see displayed throughout, just the art and animation. It's really hard to do. Now, one thing I do want to mention as well is that, besides all of that content, I mean, this episode sets up for the future, sets up for, an island raid as well with the other S-Class heroes and stuff, and, I mean, we wonder what job change, Jinwoo is going to get, because the whole point he's in this dungeon is to have a class change / job change, and what will he choose is the big question. So we'll have to see where that one goes. But next week, if everything goes right, it's probably going to be the best episode of the series. All I'm going to say. I want to leave it at that, though. I wanted to talk about Solo Leveling because this episode honestly blew me away when I sat down and watched it. I did not think it was going to be as good as it was, but it exceeded my expectations by a large margin, and hopefully next week does the exact same. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy this week's episode of Solo Leveling? Did you hate it? Be honest in the comments below. But with that, Chibi out.